Hello, and welcome to the commentary track for One Shot Hero. I'm David Miller, aka Doc Civil, and this film started out as a tribute to all the influences I had during my formative years. The Legion of Superheroes was the book that made me want to be a cartoonist, and especially the work of Dave Cockrum. And here's the first homage in that in the letters page of the Legion of Superheroes, they said that there should be a cartoon like the Super Friends cartoon. And I read that to be saying that there would be a cartoon like the Super Friends cartoon, so I was waiting for 30 years for this to happen. So this is my homage, that this was the only part of the Super Friends cartoon I liked, was its opening credits. So I did the Legion like that. So, and therein is the reason for those choices. Right down to doing a little audio grab so that it even sounded like the old Super Friends cartoon opening. And here we have our title credits, One Shot Hero, and back to a faithful adaptation of the origin of Wildfire, also called Urg at the time. Okay, and this is probably the best of the female voicing we had. Unfortunately, I was new to looping audio, and I first had a friend of mine do it from afar. I emailed her the script, and she did her voices without any direction and sent it back, and she did a really good job, all things considered, but her volume of her voice didn't match up with mine. And also some of the inflections were wrong. So my wife offered to reloop it. And unfortunately, again, women just don't seem to project like I did into the microphone. So it's kind of hard to hear what they were saying at times. I really didn't worry about it because I wanted to reloop the whole thing with actors, albeit volunteer actors. So it really didn't matter if I didn't like it or not, and I just went ahead with it. Unfortunately, I got a little tied up doing paying work, so I don't think I'll ever go back and get actors to reloop this thing. So what we have is a labor of love, warts and all, with some fun effects. Now, going back to the influences, this whole job is a tribute to the Filmation Industries, because I loved what they did, in the 60s with the Aquaman, Superman cartoons, and right on up to He-Man and so many other things, and especially Star Trek. Oh, what they did with Star Trek. And yes, I know they reused footage over and over again to cut costs, but the end product had something going for it. It usually came down to good design work, good drawing, good stories, good direction. The animation was just there, I feel, to help service those expressions. However, their Flash Gordon cartoon was incredible, and that's one of the many reasons why I wanted to do this thing, to do this little cartoon as if Filmation was doing it today. And then we would just, and if it was done today, it might have their production values, but maybe they would have hired some anime designers. And that's why everyone looks the way they look. Okay, here's one of my many little cheats where I try to suggest Wildfire's walking through walking through a hallway. Oh, and here's one of this was one of the voicings that just didn't pick up. I didn't know how to raise the volume on the women's voices, and no matter what I tried, it wouldn't work. I could lower them, but I couldn't raise them. Oh, well, here we go. Here's me doing the only female voice, and my son laughs, just constantly when he sees it. So, anyway, so that's that. And now we're coming up to one of the more successful sequences, and here's the Legion Cruiser coming up. That was just a bit of serendipity where at first I was just going to have the cruiser come at you, but it rotated for some reason. I never knew why, but I kept it. And then going down into the planet, and a little bit of pixelation here. I don't know why that pixelation came up on the grass. And there's the Hoover from hell, the super vacuum cleaner, and a pretty good bailout by the Legionnaires. So, and then the attack starts. I did all the other voices. The only voice I didn't do was Phantom Girl. And basically I studied other voice actors, mostly on the Yu-Gi-Oh show, because I really thought they had some good voice acting. Mon-El, I basically did Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh. There's this kid, this white-haired kid with a Australian or English accent on Yu-Gi-Oh that I applied to Chemical King. I did just a Bronxy thing for Colossal Boy, and you know, I tried to do like maybe even a Storm thing for the science police officer, female science police officer we saw earlier. And then for Wildfire, I just kind of tried to heighten my voice to like a child's, more of a youngish, and then you know, apply the echo on it to make it sound like it was machine generated. And that's what I did for that. And as far as my voice right now, I'm not trying to affect a radio voice, but I just have a cold. And then now we're coming up to the end and my tribute to Dave Cockrum. And as I was saying, Dave Cockrum, when I was 10 years old, I came across my first Legion of Superheroes story, and it was such a wonder and such a revelation that it put me on the path to wanting to be a cartoonist working in comics. And this was a nice little story, and I would like to do another one. There's a even shorter one. This story, One Shot Hero, was 9 pages. There's a 5-page short story in a Legion, like 100-page giant, that I think would be fairly easy for me to do. But it wouldn't be right not to mention the original writer of this story, One Shot Hero, Cary Bates, who I recall enjoying a lot of his Flash comics as a child, and as well as his Legion. And I pretty much did everything else. And Susan Miller, my wife, did the end voices. The lady who did the first voices on Phantom Girl was a lady named Laura Schappa, who's a wonderful caricaturist and an old friend. And I'm sorry we couldn't work together.